Hello, I know I'm late. I'm actually early. I hit the wrong time. This was meant to be 10 p.m. Let me get into the right place. Where should I be? I should be about there. This was meant to be 10 p.m. and I hit the wrong button, didn't realise it, and then someone messaged me. So we've gone live early. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is time for another live stream, and I'm in the middle of trying to make all of this work. I wanted to show you something before I went live, and I'm just trying to get it to work because it isn't working properly because stupid micro HDMI connectors are crap is why it's not working, and I'm trying to find my other micro HDMI cable. So bear with me 1 second, because this was what I was doing before anticipating coming live. And what I wanted to show you was something quite cool. Now, I did put out a little bit of a sneak peek of this on YouTube Shorts and Instagram the other day, which is showing you a thermal camera on the DJI system. But I wanted to show you something even better, is show you it on the phone as well. But unfortunately, the micro HDMI is playing up, and it doesn't want to output a signal. Now, this cable is a nightmare. It's always been a nightmare. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Trying to get this micro HDMI cable to behave is just a sod. It really, really is. Now, what this could be, and I have had this problem before, is let me just do something. Let me just change something. I'm powering off one LiPo, but if the battery voltage isn't high enough, it won't work. Let me just try something. This is do as I say, not do as I do territory, because we're entering, oh my God, he's plugging cables into XT60s manually territory. So let's just wait for this to boot up and see if this now kicks in. And then I will show you something very, very cool if it actually works. What's worrying me is we've got 2 LEDs on there, and we shouldn't have 2 LEDs. We should have 1 LED. And that is slightly worrying. Is it this damn HDMI connector? It is just a nightmare. Come on. Be nice. God, that was my fan jumping off the side. 1 second. Let me just find the other cable. It was here yesterday. It is here somewhere. I have 2. It is definitely here. It should actually be... Ah! Found it. It was hanging from the roof. Let's see if this one works properly. So, tonight, on tonight's live stream, we're going to talk a little bit about DJI. And actually, should you buy any of the new goggles that are currently on sale? And when I say new, I mean Goggles 2 or Integras, because there are some good deals to be had. But we now know why there's some good deals to be had, because DJI are about to replace them. And the question many people will have is it the time to buy the old goggles, or should you wait for the new ones? Should you hold out? And what we're going to try and do today is discuss what it was like. That was a Jeremy Clarkson sound. Yes, there's a lot of Jeremy in me. That sounds bad. But I do often feel... Right, I don't know if my Pi is now crashed and is causing me issues. I'm now at the stage where I don't know if the Pi is working properly. That's the problem, because I can't see what it's doing on the display. So let's just wait a minute and see if it boots up. And then we'll see what happens. That explains the weird working. Yes, yes, yes. There's 3 LEDs on this now. Well, I've never seen 3 before. Oh, God. Well, it looks like it's booting. I'm just waiting. Sorry. Let me give you an overhead view. I don't actually know what the LEDs mean at this point in time. The Pi is definitely booting, and I've had an image on the display once. It was working just now, so the Pi is definitely booting. We've got the LEDs. It's booting into Android, so it takes a little bit of time. What's worrying me is the fact that there's 2 LEDs on this. But well, let me just disconnect a minute and power this down and make sure that this display connection is plugged in properly, because I am messing about with this on the bench, and when you're messing about with things on the bench, there is always room for problems. Let's just let that boot up. I have got a fan running on the Vista because the Vista has a habit of cooking itself if I don't, even though I have sent it to 25 milliwatt. What we should see if this works is something come up there, but I don't know if we are. That is the question. If it doesn't work now, I'm going to give up until after the stream. It's not looking good, although the LED is still banging away on the Pi. So I think I'm going to leave it a second and grab my cup of tea. What you will also learn is if you're running Android on a Raspberry Pi, it is very, very slow. Very, very slow. So what I might have to do is boot it into a monitor and have a look what it's done. It might have done something dull, like change the screen resolution. Or it's not working properly, or there's something else going on. So hello to everyone on tonight's stream. I hope you are all safe and well. We've got, how many of you have we got at the moment? Let me just get the analytics up properly, because I wasn't even ready tonight. So it doesn't even tell me. Come on, tell me. Ah, we've got, how many have we got? 169 of you. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, so it's been a rather interesting week, because last week, obviously, we had... the camera is yes, it's the infrared camera. Yes, I could use one of the other pieces of software I need to have a look at. It is an infrared camera. There is a PC app available for it as well, if I remember. I just can't remember. There's an SDK PC app. Infrared works on Linux without extra drivers. Does it by any chance? Didn't know that. Haven't tried. So what does it work under Linux as? How do you open it up? Interesting. Didn't know that. I may end up booting it into Linux and then messing around with that. This is what I was doing, you see, on VLC. Oh, okay. Haven't tried. Haven't actually tried. How do you change the color palettes and stuff? Okay, that's something for me to have a look at later. This is clearly not working, is what this isn't. So, I'll have to have a play. I have a feeling something's happened with the Pi, because the HDMI input looks skew-whiff. I'm just going to see. And what's worrying me is I've got 3 LEDs. And, oh no, we got 2 now. Oh, do we get anything? Hello, hello, hello. Does you want to work today? Do you want to work? Come on, come on. See if I can coax it into it. Come on, good boy. Let's. Here you go. You can have a treat. You can have a treat if you kick in. No? No, it's definitely not wanting to play ball. Right. So let me just safely disconnect this all and we will get on with the stream. But yes, so it has been a rather interesting week with all of the leaks. And now with regards to the upcoming Avata 2, it is definitely happening in April, it seems. We don't have 100% confirmation, because there never is 100% confirmation at this point, because DJI could pull a launch at any time. There's always the possibility of DJI pulling a launch a week beforehand. That has happened before. However, as of today, we are in the firmest of beliefs we can be that there will be the launch in April of the Avata 2 alongside the new goggles. Now, this brings up a lot of questions for people because should you choose to wait for the new goggles, or should you go out and get yourself a set of goggles 2 on discount, or even a set of Integras? Now, if you haven't seen, there are discounts available on these other goggles. So if we go to DJI.com, DJI themselves do have a sale on these at the moment. Oh, that's good. NVIDIA Broadcast is not working. Thank you, NVIDIA Broadcast. See, I wasn't ready for the stream today. But if we go to DJI and if we go, I can't remember if we go to store. Okay, so broadcast should now be kicked in if I hit the button. Or not. Oh my God, it's reset all of the sizing. There was a giant me. Look at that. No one needs to see that. Let's put a little me there in the corner. There is a sale on. No, thank you. Will you sod off, DJI? Right, so DJI do have a sale on at the moment. So if we have a search for goggles, we should see that the goggles 2 were on discount. What are they at today? 515. That's interesting. They've gone back up. What are they in the US? Should we have a look at the United States? 449. Not as cheap as we would have liked. But the Integras are down to 349. And that is a lot cheaper than we have seen them. But there are sales on elsewhere. So DJI Goggles 2 USA. If we search for that, there has been discounts on the likes of Get FPV. So if we wait, Get FPV wants to check I'm a human. Yes, I'm a human. Don't know why Get FPV wants that. You can see there, so you can get the goggles 2 on Get FPV for 449. And really, the question for people should be, do you wait? Do you buy? And this comes down, for me, one real simple thing. How important is the Vista and the air unit compatibility? Because today, as we understand it, there is no compatibility on the Goggles 3 for the original air units at all. So that compatible mode DJI brought to the Goggles 2 and the Integras is not on the Goggles 3. It may never be on the Goggles 3. It may be there at the time of launch in a few weeks. That we don't know. But here and now, my understanding is no, there is not support for those air units on those goggles. So if backwards compatibility is important, then don't go for the new goggles and choose the Integras or Goggles 2, depending on what your budget is. With regards to future compatibility, there is not a person on this planet that knows if in a year, in 9 months' time, 8 months' time, 6 months' time, when DJI release an 04 air unit, will that work with the Goggles 2 and Integras? We just don't know. I would like to think yes. What I would say is there will be no 04 on the V2s, that's for sure. But it comes down to, do you want backwards compatibility? And that's the number one choice to choose. So here and now, it really comes down to that. If you want the backwards compatibility. If you're happy with 03 only and you want to move forward, then consider the new goggles. We're going to have to wait. There is some stuff I've been talking about this week I can't talk about. And look, I'm actually a little bit excited about the new goggles, just from a fitment point of view, because they might actually fit me properly. The new Avata is really exciting. I am really excited about what the new Avata could be. And I think it could be a very, very, very good product. And I'm being told very, very good things. There has been comments. I've just seen here, 03E units went back up in pricing. Yeah, look, I don't think there's been any specific move by DJI to discount 03E units. They're not replacing it anytime soon. There is no replacing of 03 in the next 3 to 6 months, period. It's just not happening. So we're just, at best, we will see an 04E unit by the end of the year, which will have pretty much the same sensor as the Action 4, same bit rates, same camera as the Avata 2, and really some of the new RF benefits that we already know about, 60 megabits a second, and a few other things around that. I really do think, though, the goggles are going to be an interesting, but again, as I've said already, they're not for us. The goggles are for this drone. The goggles are not for the FPV community. These goggles were not really for the FPV community. You have to remember that. That happened later. So we're going to have to wait and see. And look, it's also worth taking into account where you stand on this. These new goggles will have GPS built in and they will be RID compatible. Whether 04 will transmit RID remains to be seen, but they will be RID compatible. Do we know the actual RF output of the 04 system yet? It's exactly the same as 03. What 04, if you're talking about 04E unit, it doesn't exist. So there isn't an 04E unit as of today. If you're talking about 04 on DJI's consumer drones, it's all the same. It has to be maximum 33 dBm depending on the laws. So in the US, they can go to 33 dBm. In Europe, they're limited to 16 or 18 dBm. They can do legally no more. And it's also worth remembering that 03 doesn't have 1200 milliwatt mode. Technically, 03 can go to 33 dBm, but it doesn't have 1200 milliwatts. What can 04E unit offer that 03 can't? Okay, that's a very interesting question. And you have to separate off camera and ear unit. Okay, so a lot of people are going, I want 04. So first of all, camera is not the ear unit. So they could fit the new camera on the 03 ear unit today. So that you have to separate them down the line. What we will end up with is 04 being a camera and a new RF chipset changed together. However, that isn't to say DJI couldn't today release the camera for the new Avata 2 for the 03 ear unit. They absolutely could if they wanted to. There is enough horsepower in 03. The chipset change that is coming in 04 is largely back end. Yes, there are improvements for the end user, so 60 megabits a second, additional antenna lanes. But really, from a technical standpoint, the new chipset is more housekeeping for DJI than it is big benefits for the end user. That is the reality of 04. There is benefits in the new chipset, but more than anything, it is really a consolidation of what DJI was doing before. The new chipset will give you up to 60 megabits a second and up to 6 antennas. But there's no dramatic magic other than that. So, for instance, we believe if I'm right, I suspect the Avata 2 will still have the same Eagle 3 chipset that the Avata 1 had, as the 03 ear unit has. There is no big pump. No one knows. Hi, just joined. Do you know if the 04 unit will work with G2? No one knows because it doesn't exist. Guys, I'll say this again. There is no 04 ear unit today as far as I know. The very word on the street is it doesn't exist yet. DJI will finish the Avata 2, and then that team will move on to the next project. We believe that next project will be 04 Air Unit. That won't be a big project. It'll be as it was before. It wasn't a real big thing. You got to remember the Avata is in essence an 03 Air Unit with an ESC. It's not the same boards. They did rework the PCBs because they changed. You didn't need all of the power delivery either, because remember, the Avata has to have all of the power delivery stuff for the drone, let alone anything else. But in essence, there is a thought that originally DJI even intended to use the same boards, but they changed their mind. But making new boards for DJI is easy. There is no more processing power in the Avata than there is in the 03 Air Unit. What actually happens is, on 03, the flight stack is not being run. So on the Avata, they run the flight stack on the E3T, the Eagle 3 chipset. On the 03, they just don't run it. They use the E3T just for video processing. On the Avata, it's video processing and flight stack. It's both. Should we wait for the 04 or wait for the 05? 06 is my big bet. I believe DJI does work on multiple projects, but they don't within the same teams. So the word I was given that was very strong was that team will move on to 03 once they're finished with this. There will be an FPV team. There will be a Mavic team. There will be a Mini team. There will be another team. Once the hardware layout of the Avata... And look, really today, what you would expect is... They've probably already asked for the hardware to be started to work on, because the Avata will be done. From a hardware standpoint, the Avata is finished. There are probably 10,000 of them already sitting in boxes ready to be sold. When I did some stuff for DJI, I was astonished how early their hardware was ready. Their hardware would sit in boxes for months at times before it shipped. So, it will. So they may have told the hardware team, but there won't be an FPV hardware team. You've got to remember, DJI will have a hardware team that does all of their RF stuff. There will be, 10 guys that do all the RF stuff. So they may have other projects they're working on yet. You got to look. DJI is a very big company with a lot of projects under their belt. Do you know what the benefits of the rumoured 2.4 dual band with 04 are? I assume it's going to translate better penetration range. Look, so 04 on the Avata will be dual band. We would expect that to be the case on the 04 Air Unit, but it might not be. They may choose to turn it off. You've got to take into account that in FPV, there's actually a good reason not to allow dual band, because a lot of people use their RCs on 2.4 gigs. So for the Avata, it completely makes sense because you're always using the DJI remote. You could even see the 04 Air Unit allow dual band only with the DJI remote and only allow single band when not using the DJI remote for safety, because they may decide that, hey, and look, you're going to have to deal with this problem as well. If you have an 04 Air Unit that's dual band and you're running ExpressRS 2.4 gigs, it is going to wipe you out. Your own aircraft is going to fail-safe you. So you're going to have a problem. I would not be shocked if dual band didn't come to 04 Air Unit, or it only came under the use of with the DJI FPV remote. And even then, it inherently brings risks whilst flying around other users. As for what the benefit of dual band is, 2.4 gigs, in theory, will give longer range, better penetration. Downside to 2.4 gigs, it's the most congested band on the planet today. So it's 6 of one and half a dozen of another. Do we need cameras in the goggles? Probably not. So whilst the Avata will be dual band, that isn't particularly unusual. DJI have always done dual band in all of their OcuSync systems. They didn't do it on the FPV stuff intentionally. It wasn't that dual band is new. They've always done dual band. Every Mavic is dual band generally. The Mavic 3s, the Mavic Minis, all of the consumer stuff is dual band. It's just DJI didn't in FPV because the problem you're going to have with RC links. What I would do is, if I was DJI, was allow dual band and put a very big disclaimer up. Because remember, people will not understand. Whilst me, you amazing people here tonight may understand, hey, wait a minute, if my video's on 2.4, I'm going to wipe my own RC out. I'm going to need to use, say, Express ELRS 900 or Crossfire. Many people won't. Many people will just go, oh, I'm going to do the dual band option, and then be complaining on Facebook why their drone keeps falling out of the sky. That is the problem to take into account. It is a complicated one. So really, the question is, should you wait for the new goggles? And my advice, as always, is if you want the latest, if you have the money, and if backwards compatibility support is not important to you, don't worry about it. Something I will say, we don't even know for sure the new goggles will work with O3 on launch. Just because it does today doesn't mean it will at launch. DJI could disable that mode. DJI had the modes in these goggles for the other drones for months before they turned them on. The A2S and the others, DJI had the modes in them for months and months before they enabled them. So, again, wait and see. If you're not sure, wait until the launch. I will be ordering on launch day. I will be doing it launch day too, and then I'll get it in. I'm hoping stock is fairly good. I actually think it is. I actually even think there is stock already in the UK, based on something I know. I reckon you will be able to walk into Argos in the UK, for instance, Best Buy, on launch. I suspect you won't have a trouble. They test the crap out of cross compatibility. The last DJI Remote 2 was failsafe freak for me. Loved the style, but zero confidence in failsafe. Moved to Express ELRS, never failsafe weirdly. I don't recommend anyone uses the DJI FPV remote for FPV unless you are flying an Avata or you're flying a very well-tested drone with GPS rescue, or you're flying in a field where if it falls out the sky, it's not a problem. DJI has some very quirky behavior around their remote system. It largely makes sense for their own products because basically if something goes wrong, the remote disconnects. If it fail-safes video, the remote disconnects. If the remote fail-safe, the remote basically won't fail. It can fail-safe before the drone, but it's pretty unusual. Well, it's unusual on the Avata. Wait till the Avata 2. There's a wink for you. But yes, the DJI remote is compromised, but it's compromised because it's designed to work with their own systems, and they've never really got their head around it. You know, today, if the video losses, the remote fail-safes and reconnects within 3 to 4 seconds on its own on a separate frequency on 2.4 gigs. Because remember, O3 is dual band. It's just not for video. O3 is dual band for goggles, telemetry, and remote. It's just not dual band for video. That's the thing to remember. So today, if the FPV Remote 2 fail-safes on an O3E unit because the video loses, the remote will wait 2 to 5 seconds, and if it can, it will actually reconnect. But it's got a really horrible behavior. If you're flying in a field, it doesn't matter. But if you're flying anything of worth, don't trust it. And that opinion stays the same on all of them. Use something else. Just use something else. What do I think the price will be? No idea. What did the Avata launch at? Does anyone remember? Was it 999, the Avata? See, I wouldn't even be shocked, right? Was it 1,200 quid, actually? No, I think it was 1,200 quid for the combo. Now, there is a new Love Toy version 3 coming. I'm going to call it the Black Mamba. The Love Toy version 3. There is a new version. Improved for your pleasure even more. More of the goggles, colour plastic this time, rather than the lighter grey. Because you've got to remember, the lighter grey was really to suit their drones. 1,100. Yeah, I think I paid 12 or 1,300 quid in the UK. It's probably going to be about the same. Could even be more. Could even be more. Does anyone know if you can use the A3 with Integra and RC2 instead of no? DJI did not allow, well, officially don't allow the remote support, but there is a workaround. Did they stop that workaround? Does anyone remember? Plus the remote. Yes, that was it. Yeah, it was an expensive deal. I wouldn't be shocked if it's more. Genuinely, I would not be shocked if you were talking 1,500 quid for this. If you remember, when the Avata launched, there was a shortage of the remotes. It's not so much now. There is also talk, and I've not seen this confirmed yet, but I've had a whisper of it, that the Avata will use with the other remotes as well. You'll be able to use the standard remotes, the Avata 2. Yeah, the workaround doesn't work for the A3, only the Mini 3 Pro. Yeah, sorry, I don't know a way. Does the O3 display speed on the OSD? I think speed's in one of the compatible Betaflight options. It'll be 1,500 definitely with the Fly More, yeah. And you're going to need new batteries, remember. None of the batteries are compatible. Nothing's compatible. I do wonder, this is one last thing I'll say in this before we move on. I do wonder if DJI will release a pack with the goggles too. Because remember, when they released the Avata, they released it with 2 sets of goggles. Basically the O4 drones. Yeah, that makes sense, Lon. Does anyone know how I get better penetration and range in the USA with the DJI Integra and flying the Avata? You set up about as good as you can get. The only thing I'll say is the Avata is a compromised antenna design. It's a great drone, but for those who don't know, and let me grab mine. The antennas on this little bad boy, and I was going to sell mine, but I'm going to keep it for the review. The antennas are these here. These are the antennas on this drone. So, if you're hoping to fly long and far and low, it ain't going to happen because as you're flying, obviously your antennas are low down in the frame, and they're not they're PCB antennas. They're not particularly the best antennas in the world. The Avata would definitely benefit from an antenna mod. Flying high, you shouldn't have any problems, but it isn't really a drone that's designed to fly high. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. One last comment I will say on the Avata 3 is the only downside is repairability. The Avata 2 is horrific. I don't believe it's going to be as easy to repair as the Avata 2. Obviously, we've moved from pushers to pullers on the props, which is good to see. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to be very repairable. That's why they had both goggles. Yeah, and they had the V2s as well. They did sell the Avata with the V2s at one point. And it'd be interesting to see if they do that with the Avata 2. How fly are you high in? You can't get a mile. This drone really isn't designed for long range. It'll do it high level. How high are you flying at a mile? It's not a drone I've pushed extensively. Look, technically, there's no RF reason it can't. I don't believe there's any easy aftermarket antennas for it. Depends how high you're flying. Really. You know, that's going to be the... If there's trees, if there's things like that, that's going to have the largest effect. This is really not a drone for very long-range flying. That's for sure. Okay, so that's enough of DJI. If you've got any questions, we have 296 of you here. There was 300, but a couple have bombed off because they thought this was a waste of time. Hello, everyone. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and I will try and answer them as soon as I go along. Before I go any further, I'm going to take a sip of my tea and open this bar of chocolate. Good evening, Ken. How are you? And then I'm going to talk about something else. Oh, we're back up to 309. Hello, extra people. I'm going to be rude and have a bar of chocolate because I'm hungry. Now, today was a lovely day here in the UK while I do a bit of chit-chat. I didn't get to go flying, though. Today, I was fitting the floor in my bathroom. Yes, the bathroom from hell. The bathroom that is driving me mad. I fitted the shower. And when I say the shower base has been fitted. I've replumbed the vanity unit, the sink, the bath. I fitted the bath panels today and finished the flooring. For those who want to know what I'm eating, my wife bought me a giant bar of Galaxy. And I've earned this today. I am knackered. I'm in so much pain, it's ridiculous. I tell you something, I am not built for manual labour anymore. I am a man, and I will say this, I am a man that has spent a lot of time under cars, replacing engines, gearboxes, freaking building motorbikes. I'll dig all the stuff out one day, actually. You know, I used to do a lot. I was big into my bikes at one point. I've had Harleys. I've had Triumphs. Look, this gives you the kind of guy I was, right? I bought a Harley. I bought a Sportster 1200 conversion. So it was it was originally the 883, and it had been converted to 1200. And I was riding it home, and I just wasn't happy. Something felt just a little bit off. It rode lovely, but it was just something got a little bit off. So I come home and took the heads off. I just bought it, and I just thought, well, let's find out what's going on, and took the heads off. And I found one of the pistons was a little bit burnt. And it was running very, very lean on one cylinder. So I ended up rebuilding the top end. So, look, I'm a man over the years. I've done a huge amount of work, but these days, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. My body, my shoulder is in a mess. My back is knackered. And I look like Carl Pilkington. Catching back up on the chat. Okay, so what we got here. If anyone has an old Phantom drone, I uploaded feet for them to stop them tipping over. That was a big thing on the Phantom 3 Pro. It would have a habit of tipping over on landing and bouncing. Hey, cold and really windy here in Minnesota. I didn't get to fly either. Oh, it was actually a nice day. A bit windy, though. I was about to go and fly one of the little whoops I've been trying to finish the review on at like 5 o'clock. And I opened the door and went, oh, Jesus, it's nice, but windy. So I didn't end up doing it. I assume the Avata 2 will be compatible with the goggles too. We don't know. Today, no. We don't know if DJ will do it. Ian, TBS, Mambo, Radio Master Boxer, or Jumper T20? Radio Master Boxer. End of non-discussion. The T20 is a nice radio, but the Boxer every time. I'm sorry, it's the Boxer every time. For me, it's the Boxer. It just is. It's just a better radio. What do I think about DJI FPV version 3? Do I think they'll have an antenna, or will it be like the DJI? It'll be internal antennas. We already know it's internal antennas on the FPV Remote 3, which is going to be a problem. You got to get out of Buell's XB heads for on this. You got to get out the Buell XB. Yeah, I had to have the bores. I ended up putting oversized rings back in. There was a number of issues when I got it back. Do I still fly the Pico? No, look, I'm not a big Whoop fan. I don't have an air unit in it at the moment. When I was sent the Pavo Pico to review, and look, I'm just going to be clear. This isn't a complaint, okay? But it is also a point I'm going to make. Vendors do have a habit of, and look, some vendors don't do this, and I've been very lucky, and I tell you who is great. iFlight are amazing. Speedy Bee have been amazing. And a few others. I think that's the two big ones. iFlight and Speedy Bee are both amazing at this. If they send you a bind and fly with like an air unit, they'll send you it with the air unit. Now, I do have a number of air units, but I don't have an infinite number of air units. And what often happens is vendors will say, hey, we want to send you a new bind and fly. Would you like the 03 compatible version, or would you like the Avata version? And you can put in your own air unit. And that is great, but I only have a certain number of spare air units. And that means I'll put an air unit in for review, but that air unit can't stay in it. And if I want to leave it in it, I'm going to have to go and spend 185 quid on an 03 air unit or something like that. So the Pavo is up there, air unitless, because I think it's a very nice little drone, but I don't have an air unit to leave in it to use all of the time. And it is something that does become a problem. Look, when you do review a lot of quads, I have a bench air unit. I always have a bench air unit of every system. But also, or whatever it is, I haven't bought one for a while. 220 or whatever it was in the UK. I can't remember what it was. I said 185, but I might be thinking of dollars. I saw one being advertised for 185 on Amazon on my Discord, but it was a scam, we think. But yeah, look. So, no, I don't have an air unit in it. And it does make me laugh because you do get some vendors sort of go, oh, yeah, we've sent you this. Oh, we sent you this like 3 months ago. If you're flying, it'd be great just to see you using it again and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if I haven't got a fucking air unit, I'm not doing it. And I don't, it's first world problems, but I have a lot of quads and I can't have an air unit in every one. If I had to pay for that, it would be $2,000-$3,000 worth of air units just to keep one in every quad. It's just not happening. So there is a situation where you have to take them out, and the Pavo Pico was one of them. And again, I don't mean that as I think everyone should send me an air unit, but if a manufacturer wants me to review a unit, I do laugh at times when they sort of say, I even have had this, right, and I'm just not even fucking replying anymore. Pardon my French, but I'm not doing it. Hi, we've got this new drone, bind and fly. We'll send you all the parts and you can build one with one of your own air units. I don't even talk to them now. I don't even reply anymore. I just don't. It's like, so you want me to spend 2 hours building it up to do a review on it using my own air unit for like $150 quad? I'm sorry, but I don't have the time for that. I just don't. The bigger you get, the more of a problem this becomes as well. But, you know, look, I love reviewing quads when there's something interesting to see. But on the flip side of it, I don't have, and here's me being honest, 3 hours, 2 hours to build up a quad and do a review. I just don't. It's just the reality. I thought it would have shaken out on its own. I did like the Pavo, though. I loved flying that around the field. I think I had to take the air unit out of it to put in the Flywoo. I might take it out the Flywoo and put it back in the Pavo. Do they get discounts on 03 air units for their bind and flies? I heard something like they don't get any vendor discounts. I would be astonished if they don't. DJI is a company that likes to do a deal. Hello, 3 No Margie. Had the Boxer, went to the Zorro Max. Radios are so subjective. Best thing is to get in and meet and try. Yeah, definitely. With radios, go try. 100%. Radios is all about touchy-feely. That's my last bit of chocolate, and then we're moving on. I had to finish the row. You don't get this shit on Bardwell. Bardwell's a professional YouTuber. Chris Rosser would be telling you now about some amazing ESC or telling you about some of your meth field. I sit you and eat chocolate. Nice, though. Could be worse, though. I was going to say something then that would get me into trouble. Blunty would be telling me off right now. Someone said he'd be telling us about his 69th new frame. Chris is a good guy. Chris is a good guy. Or banning me. So, the next subject. CaddX. Let me get the goggles. They're here. CaddX. Where the fuck is the app for the Goggles X? It is. How long since the launch of these? How long have we had? Today, we are sitting in the same position we were before. We have the Goggles X. I'm going to talk a bit about the problems, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what is going on. Because we don't know, but I'm going to share my opinion, because even I'm getting fed up. Now, obviously, with the release of the Goggles X, get it inside. I need to move over a little bit. This has been a bit of a tough launch. Let's not pretend. Now, they've done some work. They've done some improvements. Some things have gone backwards and people are having issues, and I do believe it's related to the new routing of the Wi-Fi antenna, and there's a video coming in the next week about that heatsink and everything. I've been doing all my testing because this is the is this the new ones? Yes, this is the one with the heatsink. So this is the one with the new heatsink. And one thing that's come to light is this, right? We have this new thermal camera. We have this new thing, yet we still don't have the app. We still don't have focus mode. We still don't have a bloody zoom feature. We still don't really have the ability to move the OSD elements around, and we still don't have a HDMI VTX as said there. But, and I'm going to ignore the HDMI VTX a minute because that's hardware. I don't want any more hardware. I want software that now fixes all of the issues. We need the software sorted. We are now heading towards 2 years since the release of the Avata HD system. And in that time, we have seen a lot of improvements, but there are fundamental issues that remain with the software, and that includes the fact that you still can't zoom out, you still can't have focus mode, you still can't move the OSD elements. And we could talk about all of this stuff, such as, but they've done this and that. And CaddX have, without doubt, released more hardware in a short period of time that has benefited users than I've seen from anyone. You know, it's great to see the 1S VTXs. It's great to see the additional cameras. But enough. The software needs to be fixed. And look, the Goggles X are a nice goggle. They were promised with an app. Here's my belief. I don't think you'll see that app. And if you do see it, it won't work properly. I've seen the video live streaming on this, and it's working today. You can try it. It is absolute shit show. It is an absolute crap show. I don't think you'll get it. I don't think it's going to work. That's my opinion based on what we've seen. And it's getting to the stage where it's tiresome. And you'll notice I haven't really I'm in no rush to make the video on this because I don't really want to advertise this product right now until the issues are resolved. I've been really watching closely the RF issues. So people are having their bars never go to green. And also they're getting like break up when they shouldn't be getting it. And I believe it's down to the rerouting of the Wi-Fi antenna on the new goggle with the heatsink because we weren't getting that on the production release and the board is the same. But what they have done is rerouted the Wi-Fi antenna straight down the middle between the transceivers, which puts it right in the RF path, which is a dumb idea because now you have the Wi-Fi transmitting on 2.4 gigs right down the center path of where the 5 gigs transceivers are. And also note, those transceivers are capable of working at 2.4 gigs as well. Killzone FPV, my Goggles X don't even boot up every time I plug them in. I've seen this. I don't know if you're the post I've seen on Facebook. That's not normal. You want to send them back. That's not normal. I've got 2 sets here and they always turn on. Yes, there is a lot of confusion because now they always jump to the last mode. So people don't realize they can jump to analog or HDMI. The HDMI needs a bloody splash screen to say HDMI, please input. But if your goggles are not booting every time, that's not right. Get rid, send them back. Hello, Guy. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's, as a system, it works okay, but it still has issues. But yeah, look, and that's why what is a reasonable amount of time to wait for promised features not available at launch? I think 6 months. I think 6 months. Anything over 6 months is bullshit. After 6 months, it's just bullshit. That's my personal opinion. You got to give a little bit of time. I think 6 months is a reasonable time frame. I think anything after that, you're getting into dodgy ground. It's at a stage where it's hard to talk about the system because of this. And look, we are in a period where DJI is about to once again steal all of the news headlines. I strongly suspect, hello 73 FPV, I strongly suspect CaddX will release something around the DJI time. I would be astonished if they don't do deals. Beware. And I will warn people now. And this isn't based on anything I know. I would not be shocked if CaddX reduced the price of the Goggles X on DJI launch. And I'm sorry to everyone who's bought them if they do. I could be wrong. If I'm a betting man of what stunt they would pull, I think they'd drop the price. They were already much lower than we expected them to be anyway, so perhaps they won't. But if they're going to do something, price drop is, I don't know, I think that's, I don't think they go $299. I think they might drop a little, $439, $450. What are they today? I've forgotten. What is it? Let's have a look. 458. The software will be DKFPV. The software will be made. You don't need to remind them every 6 months. The original goggles, you could absolutely see Fat Shark's input on the original goggles. Goggles 2 only cost $450 in the US. Yeah. Chinese Gary, I'm going to talk about Gary a bit in a minute. Chinese export restrictions beginning to bite here now, getting harder to get large VTOLs, and that's not the DJI proposed ban that China itself is not allowing exports. Interesting. Will the field of view be the same? No idea. No one mentioned that to me. It looked to be similar optics to the goggles too, but I don't know. Can't comment. Haven't seen them for myself. I will probably be buying them in Argos or one of the many retailers. HDZero has to respond. Not really. Look, Carl's in a different game. Carl's not playing the same game. Carl's in a different world, different product, different use case. Look, HDZero has its own niche. It has its own benefits. It can quite happily trundle along. Now, is that trundling along enough to really sustain a business? I don't know. I just don't know how much they're selling. Look, I can be critical of HDZero. I do wish the quality of the VTXs was a little bit better, but that stands for CaddX as well. HDZero has its benefits and its place, and I think it doesn't need to get mixed up in any of this. It just doesn't. Look, would I expect Carl to do a V2 system? Yes, at some point. I know Carl was... Look, he talked about it on my stream. Remember when I did my Carl interview? SpeedyBee are currently unable to sell bind and flies due to export restrictions. Apparently, you have to pay a large fee to get authorization to sell built-up drones. iFlight, GepRC have it, but not some. Interesting. What's the best stack for the 6S? I'd go with the SpeedyBee stack if you got the Mario frame. If you got the Mario 5, nothing really wrong with the SpeedyBee stack. Look, there are loads of good stacks out there. Most of them are fine. Foxtech not doing it. Interesting. They're a big exporter as well. 30 by 30. Look, I have a video on the new flywheel stacks. Check them out. They're very nice for the money. Just catching down on the chat. So, yeah, look, CaddX. To finish off CaddX, look, today, patience is running thin with a lot of people, and I really like the Goggles X, and largely they work fine. I got no problems with the Goggles X at all. Goggles X work absolutely great. There are issues. We're waiting for the issues to be resolved. They really need to get their shit together. My worry is that they will be peddling this new version 2 long before the issues get fixed on the Goggles X. There's my hot take for you. I think that might a bit high. Might as well just put it there and I think they will be I think they will be doing that. SpeedyBee, the flywheels, they're good stacks. Nothing wrong with either. Mario 5 frame's nice. I liked it. It's a good, cheap frame. Really cheap frame. It's a really good, cheap frame. What can I say about the super cheap $40 JH? I don't know. I've not tried them. How important is your aircraft to you? Is my question. You know, look, if you came to me and said, if you think about it, okay, there are lots of flight controllers on the market, and you could come to me and say, hey, and let me just find it. You know, I want to build myself this massive drone, and look, what flight controller to use? I could say to you, yeah, don't worry, you can go out and get yourself this nice iFlight Blitz. This is $30. It has most of the I/O you'll ever need. And then I could say to you, yeah, but how important is the aircraft to you? And you'd say, oh, it's critical, I get it back. Well, then I'd be telling you to go and get yourself one of these. And no, yours won't be gold. Oh, it could be gold if you're lucky. You could get a gold one. But then I'd be telling you to go out and get yourself one of these. Let me just get the camera working because it's taller. And get yourself a cube, because the cube is going to be far better on a much bigger aircraft than a smaller one. What is your aircraft worth to you? What are you trying to do? How important is it that it comes back? This gold is a horrible color to keep clean, by the way. But yeah, how important is it? It comes down to that. It really, really does. But yeah, there are loads of flight controllers. If you're just after an FPV drone and you're flying around a field, they're all right. You won't go wrong with any of them. Are you someone from Bradford? No, I'm not from Bradford. But yeah, it's down to what you want to do. That's what it comes down to. My post-flight OSD stats claim max amp draw at 93. That can't be right with 1404 motors. Surely there's an easy way to check without fancy test kit. Amp draw in beta flight, your configuration's probably wrong. The scaling will be wrong on the amp draw on the ammeter. It's hard. I wouldn't worry about what your max amp draw is. I don't even look at it. All I look at is battery sag and voltage now. I don't look at anything else. Throttle position and battery sag voltage. You don't need to know anything else. Amps, don't worry about it. Getting it measured properly is so hard, it's just not worth the problem. It's just not worth the hassle. It will be the scaling feature. But the problem is you could configure it correctly at 20 amp and it'll be all over the place at 60. What do you think is the smallest drone with O3 worth buying? Mainly indoor flights and light wind cinematics. Pavo Pika was a bit of a pain in the ass to get the jello out of. Great little aircraft. There has been, and this actually leads me off onto something else. I believe GEP RC have released a new frame this week or something new. That's probably O3 based. They're not a company I deal with, so I can't really talk about it. But I do know they've released something new. If we go to the desktop, I thought I saw something new from GEP. Is it this CT25 frame? Was this new from them? I think that might have been this. So that could be worth a look. When are we going to see some open source innovation for like ExpressRS for ESCs? Blue Jay code is absolutely horrendous. There is AM32. It just takes time. There's a lot to do. AM32 is the latest, greatest open source ESC firmware that is a complete rewrite. Remember, Blue Jay is an extension, well, it's a fork of BL S, which is a fork of BL Heli all the way back. You know, BL Heli S code wasn't rewritten. So AM32, and actually this is a really good subject. Actually, I am in the process of making a bit of an ESC history video. And I'm getting there. It's nearly done. It's taken a lot of doing, but we are getting there. And it is very interesting when you look back, especially at BL Heli S and the developments and where it ended up. And all of the forks. You know, you had BL Heli M, which was a fork of it. And you then had JHSCC or whichever one. I can't remember what its bloody name is. And then you had Blue Jay. I think Blue Jay's good, but 32-bit. 32-bit is the way forward, and AM32 is a complete rewrite from scratch. You got to remember, though, BL Heli 32, for instance, is it goes back a very long way. There's been a lot of learning in BL Heli, and that's going to take time. You're not going to get that overnight in an ESC. It's going to take the dev team time. Zing's 18650s, great motor. Zing 2s, no complaints at all. No complaints whatsoever. Great average motor. Only piece of advice I will give is, when you get them, just give the wires, and I don't mean pull them off, but just give them a little bit of a tug where they enter the motor, just to make sure they're all connected properly. I had one which wasn't. I've only ever had one, but I did have one that wasn't soldered properly, and I have heard of others. So when you get them, where the motor goes in with the heat shrink, just give a bit of a pull. Just, you know, I'm not saying rip it out, but just make sure it is tagged on. That's all I'll say. I ended up having to resolder one on a bind and fly. I thought it was a bad ESC, but it was a Zing motor. What are my thoughts on the Darwin cement waterproof 100 amp F7 stack? Not seen it. Shall we have a look? Darwin cement. Ultra. Right, let's have a look at this, shall we? Oh, wrong camera. Oh, I have seen a picture of this. Sorry. Okay, so for those who haven't seen it, $49.99. What's the difference between those two? Different gyro. No, it's not. Oh, it's flight controller only. So, come on, let me have a... Is there a better picture down here? Here we go. So, the stack is fully encapsulated. Dustproof, because they've encapsulated it in a metal shield. Sandwich stack. So there is a heat sink, and then that goes... How have they done that? So the ESC has a cover. Does it? Okay, so the ESC isn't fully shielded. I'll say this. Two kinds of optional gyroscopes. You can have the MPU 6000 or the 42688. Very interesting. 4 gig black box. And that's SD card black box. Okay, that's interesting. The problem is with this, why? I guess the question is what the benefit is. So, is it going to be more solid? Is it going to survive more crashes? Potentially. However, in the end, I don't know. How does the barrel work if it's watertight? Yeah, that would be the issue. If it's watertight, how does the barrel work? The barrel would only work if there was airflow. I'll give it a run. I think it's interesting. Do I think it's trying to do something? Yeah. It's trying to do something different is what I'd say. Centronics board with Vista enough for search and rescue. 640p should be. 2020 DJI with base 60 barely works below 80 foot. My department won't budget for an $8,000 3 terminal. Potentially, look, I'm still doing testing on the Cinetronics board. Overall, yes, look, it'll take a 720p 60 input, but it has to be 720p 60. It won't take anything else. There's no conversion on board. It has to do 720p 60. So there is your limitation for thermal camera, because you're going to need to find a thermal camera that supports 720p 60, and that's not quite as easy as it sounds. I was doing some testing on it before the stream. I'm still doing some testing. I will be doing a flight with it on a quad, but I have more testing to do. What? No integrated Express ELRS? I want that Unbreakable Part 2. Yes, no Express. It's a bit of a weird board, this, isn't it? I'm not sure what to make of that. I'll give it the Bando test. Yeah, look, I think they're trying to do something different. And I'm surprised it's not Axis, to be honest, because Axis usually do crazy crap that everyone's like, what? Really? Why? Like that frame for the Avata. Like that fucking Express ELRS module the size of a brick. Although I can't really say anything on that because Radio Master went and did it as well. Like that flight stack they made, which was also quite interesting. If you remember, Axis Flying had that enclosed flight stack. Have I seen the Runcam 6? No, I haven't. No, I have not seen the Runcam 6, no. They have waterproof stacks too, yeah. Yeah, I believe you just dip everything in Vaseline. If you've got some left. Is that really an SD card under the metal shield? It is. One, cheap, reliable. If a stack holds for 3 months of weekly flying, 12 to 14 days, 49 per each, we consider it a good stack. Good point. All this conformal coating and waterproof nonsense is BS in fresh water. Good point. Electrical service tape's waterproof. Spray it in Rain-X. Pour some Rain-X over it. It'll be fine. Remember, we're talking DC voltages here. You could put an ESC underwater. It's not going to burn up. Most water-related problems are corrosion, not actually being underwater. It's always the same. The water itself very rarely causes the damage. It's it's the corrosion or the after effects of the water that generally causes the problems. Right, there are 2 things. I need to highlight something, and let me find it. First of all, and this is let me just highlight something. I got 2 things to actually do. 3 things to actually do. So, the first thing I want to quickly talk about is this. And this is the great man himself, Mr. Joshua Bardwell. And what I want to highlight is the fact that he has now publicized flow state on his channel. If you don't know what flow state is, it is that he was involved, the FPV documentary he made. It has now officially been uploaded and released on YouTube. It was available on DVD initially. It was available on certain streaming services initially. And now it's available via the Bardwell FPV channel. If you haven't seen it, it is absolutely well worth a look. I've seen it. I watched it this week. I watched it across on 2 devices. I watched it on this, and I finished watching it on my other device on a different account. It is absolutely well worth a look. It was very well put together, I have to say. There were certain elements of it I thought were a bit corporate, but other than that, I think it was an astonishing video, an astonishing look at what we do. And I get why it was a bit corporate, because it was designed to appeal to a certain non-FPV related audience. But other than that, I do think it was very, very good. And it was great. It was good to see FPV being shown in a certain way. And yeah, it's out there if you want to watch it. Please do check it out. it's a, you know, it is a film. It is a film of what we do. And there's some great characters in it, and it was great to see everyone involved who was in it as well. So, yeah, it's good to see. I do wonder if going... I think the interesting bits in it, you know, when you look at the legislation talk and things like that, and the DJI rep, which was interesting. I got the protest bit and Zoe and gave up watching it. No, look, I think look, it's the first true film that there has been about FPV, and I think the very fact it got made is incredible. I thought I enjoyed it. I think there were bits I was a bit like, okay. You sort of want, for us, you sort of wanted more of the raw stuff. But again, you're trying to appeal to an audience that know nothing about the sport. And that's what this was about. And I think it was incredibly well put together. Genuinely do. You know, it's aimed at a very... It's aimed to show the sport... I call it a sport, the hobby, in a certain light, to get the attention of people who don't know anything about it. And I think it ticked all of those boxes. I really do. So yeah, it's on there. Check it out. Simple as that. Now, I got two things we're going to talk about. One of them is actually to do with Gary, SUS News. Now, I'm a bit confused, Gary. Is this on the website or is this on your YouTube channel? Because... if you don't know, I haven't been on for a while. I've been away an awful lot in the week. I'm going to try and get on Tuesday night, Gar. I will try and turn up. Gary, who you don't, if you don't know, is SUAS News. If you don't know who SUAS News is, it is this website here. It's been around forever. It's Drone and Sundry. He does a live stream on a Tuesday. I've been on... I'd hate to know how many. I haven't been on many recently, and I am sorry, Gan. I'm sad actually because I enjoy it. Unfortunately, my personal life has meant in recent months that Tuesdays are a bit challenging for me. At the moment, for reasons I won't go into, but yeah, Gary's amazing. Bruce is amazing. These guys are what I class as friends. And look, we've known each other quite a few years now. And it was every week at one point, which I loved. It's just life has got in the way a little bit right now. But they are running alongside the guys who made this. And let me go to this. The Cube, the Gold, and the Here Pro that I released a video about this week, which is probably one of the most professional GPSs on the market. Philip is running a giveaway. Now, I need to figure out where this is on the website. So where is it, Gar? I'm blind to this. So where is this under here? Because I can't see it, but I could be being an idiot. So where am I going? As you're here, I'm going to get you to guide me. Is it this? There it is. I finally found it. So, Cube Pilot, for those who don't know who Cube Pilot is, they make the Cube Autopilot. They make the HearLink. They make Here Pro. Philip's hit 10 years. The business has hit 10 years. And they're doing a giveaway on SUAS News. You can register and you will get the chance to win all sorts of goodies. Now, I've made so much content about the Cube stuff. I need to fill this in. So I'm going to fill it in on that one. I'm going to go in this. I'm not filling that in. Whoa! Get off, Google. That didn't happen. Yes. So it is something, it's some of the best gear on the planet. Okay? And that is the reality. And if you're interested in winning something, you may even get the chance to win a Here Pro. It will be available there for you. And go on the website, go down to Willy Wonka, click on it, fill it in, make sure you get involved. The Cube guys have been around for ages. I'm going to be doing part 2 of the Here Pro video in the next couple of weeks. I'm in the middle of finishing the build. The build is here next to me, in fact. And then I will be doing that. Some of the best high-end gear autopilots out there. Just some of the best. Look, you're not going to put a Cube in an FPV drone. That's a reality. You're going to put a Cube in something you want to come back. You're going to put a Cube in something like... Oh, that's bloody good, isn't it? You're going to put a Cube in something like this. You're going to put a Cube in something big. What goggles would you suggest for O3? Goggles V2 or goggles 2? If you can get a cheap set of used goggles 2, best way forward right now. Can I put it on my dad? He never come back. I know you feel on that one. Do I get a Cube to put my VTOL? You could potentially win one. You may win a Cube. You may win something else. Cube node come in. Oh, Gary knows more about the thing. I haven't spoken to Philip for a while. I've been just tied up on everything. So, yeah, interesting. Right, couple of other little things. Now, for those who don't know, two things have actually happened. I need to talk about them together. And the reason I'm going to do this is I want to do it in complete fairness. For those who, and I think I've mentioned this before, for those who know, 3DXR have always been a big supporter of this channel. And for those who don't know, they've taken over the Drone Authority website in the UK that sells a huge amount of FPV gear, and they're stocking it up more and more all of the time. Now, I have spoke about this before, but if you don't know who 3DXR is, 3DXR are one of the companies who sell the Cube. I talk about them in a lot of the content on that bigger stuff. They're a big dealer. They're in the process of moving premises again, actually. But he bought the Drone Authority website when Drone Authority went under. If you go down the bottom, you'll see down here somewhere, it'll say Aerial Exposure Limited, which is 3DXR. So Ben has got this as well. However, I've also been approached this week. And for those who don't know, there's a company called the Drone Safe in the UK. Okay. And they have a store. And you may have heard of them because these were the guys that got robbed about 18 months ago. They're actually got broken into and they had a load of gear nicked. But they're starting to launch a lot more FPV gear. And they're going to be launching more and more FPV gear on the channel in the next few weeks and months, and they're going to be moving more into FPV than they were in the past as well, and I will talk about this a bit more in a video in the future. Here and now, I don't know how much is on here today. I haven't had a look at the website deeply to see what they do have. They've always sold a lot of stuff with regards to the camera drones, but they are moving more into FPV and they're going to be doing more and more overtime as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm just looking what I can see on here at the moment because this is the first time I've had a proper look at the website whilst on the stream. I did try to log into it earlier. I'm waiting for a login. you can see that they've got the ready to fly stuff. I'll say this, if you're going to be getting the Mavic 2, you'll be able to get it from these guys as well in the UK. That's great. Welcome to the UK. Welcome more UK suppliers. Yeah. Obviously, for those, how much bigger has FPV become over the last few years? It's definitely getting bigger, and it's good to see more and more people get involved. Do you know what I mean? And look, I've only heard good things about the Drone Safe store. I've never heard a bad thing about the store itself. I believe they've expanded a lot of what they do into this side of things as well. Obviously, Drone Safe was the Drone Safe register, for those who didn't know, but they're definitely moving more into FPV, and they're going to be stocking more and more stuff over time as well. I'm just trying to see. So I'm not seeing much here now, I'll be honest, but I do know they're definitely going to be stocking more. Interesting, they got the DJI mic too. Do you know what? I might order one. I've been thinking about getting the DJI mic. I've been leaning on the DJI mic or the Rode, and I haven't quite decided which one to go with, the Rode Pro 2. The Rode comes with lavs, though, and that's why I've been thinking about getting the Rode. But the reports, the DJI is very, very good. Very, very good indeed. But you can see that they do have the DJI mic. They do have lavs for it as well, which are 35 quid each. So, yeah. They're going to be doing more. I'll talk about it once a lot more stuff on the website. I was in there the other day. That's cool. That's great news. So, yeah, they're going to be putting more and more. I don't know if they've put anything on the blog. No, they haven't. But I do know they're going to be stocking more and more FPV stuff in the near future. So, I thought I would share that with you as well. Mic 2 is great. Yeah, I think the FPV stuff is coming. I definitely... No, well, I don't think. I was told the FPV stuff is coming. That's what I was told. Okay. Now, before we wrap this up, if you have any questions, please do let me know. It's been a quiet week overall in FPV. There really hasn't been a lot to talk about. As for what happens next, we're now in that waiting game. We now got to wait and see about the launch. From my point of view, I'm still doing lots of testing and stuff in the background. You're not seeing a huge amount of content from me at the moment. There are two reasons for that. No, number one, I'm still trying to get this bathroom finished. I'm a bit busy in my personal life at the moment. Don't worry, I'm not stopping. I have no plans to stop. But whilst it's quiet, whilst there isn't a huge amount going on, I ain't shitting out videos for the sake of it. I don't just want to shit a video out the back end just to keep the algorithm happy. I do intend to try and put out content. I'll be honest, and I'll be honest with you guys a little bit. I've lost my mojo a little bit. What I have found is making content, you get into a rhythm with it, and when you stop, I actually have found it very hard to start again. I don't mean I'm not making videos, but every video I've made this year has been hard. I have genuinely found it difficult. It's not gone smoothly. The message hasn't necessarily been what I wanted. Winter's long here, and you get very good at doing it when you're doing it all of the time. And you get into a rhythm. And look, I don't script, okay? So for those who watch this channel, I don't script anything. Nothing on this channel is... God, you can tell. If it was scripted, you think. I don't script. So everything I talk about, I know. It's in there. It has to be in there. Because it can't come out of here if it's not in there. You know, I'm not a guy, right, that sits there and tells you about something that he's read off a sheet of paper that doesn't understand it. So I spend a lot of time learning about what I'm talking about doing first, and then I talk about it. And what I found hard is okay, look, we've not had any big releases, so that always makes it more challenging. And again, there's probably 8 or 10 videos I should have made that I haven't, and I'm actually disappointed in myself because the video, you know, take this talk about what DJI goggles to buy. That should be a video. That should be a video on the channel right now. I might try and cut that into something and put it out. But it does get hard. And I just seem to have lost the rhythm a little bit. And look, it'll come back. It always does. Once the new goggles launch, I will be rallied up as much as I always am. I think we got a bit of burnout with CaddX and the problems. And I'll be honest, it got to the stage where it drove me mad. All of the problems we had on X, the fucking launch was horrific. The work I had to put in to get that video out. That video I put out, honestly, that's a 1-hour video. I don't think people comprehend how hard that was. It was horrific because it wasn't working, and then you got new firmware which made part of it work, and then you got new firmware that made other things work. And it was like 3 days before I got new firmware that changed everything. So I had to go back and do everything again. And you get to the stage where you're just like, this is driving me mad. And I think I needed a bit of a break after that. So what I decided to do is I said to you all, I'm backing down from a number of reviews. That doesn't mean I'm stopping reviews, right? That doesn't mean I'm not reviewing anything. There will be reviews coming on this channel in the near future, but I am being very picky on what I want to take right now. I'm not just shitting anything out for the sake of it. There is a number of videos in my head that I should have made this year already. And I haven't, and I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't done them because I think they're important videos. I think there's certain things that need to go out there, and I could be doing so much better on this channel by doing those videos. But look, the algorithm will survive. What I'm not doing anymore is chasing the numbers. The channel has grown so much. And I need to say a huge thank you to all the Patreons. The Patreons of what's allowed me to back off a little bit because the YouTube revenue's on the ground. Honestly, YouTube revenue is just jumping off a cliff. Jumping off a cliff. Thank you for the super chats. I'll talk about them before we finish. Honestly, YouTube, it's just falling. But that is what it is. Look, it does it. It goes up, it goes down. The Patreons are what have allowed me to keep this moving forward. And I want to say a huge thank you to all of the Patreons and everyone who donates, the Super Chats, the Patrons, the Buy Me a Coffees. If you don't know, I do have a Patreon. I have a Discord server. It's free. Come and say hello. I'm even a bit disappointed I haven't done more on the FPV Wiki website. There's a lot more I wanted to do on that, and I just haven't. I also need to try and find some time to go over and finish repair.wiki and get everything transferred over because I have committed to doing that as well. I think what's probably held me up, genuinely, it's actually a lot of the products I've been talking about, I've had problems with. It's like flying. I can't fucking fly right now. The weather is just bad. So it's like I've got the second video to do on that Emax quad. So there's a freestyle version of the one. And the weather's just stopped me flying. It's just stopped. So it makes it really hard. Once the weather turns, I get, like, you can get a build in and you can go fly and I can make the content and get it done. It was okay today. I was just putting my new bathroom in. So, and look, that's life. Family needs to come first. You can't do it all. You need a blunty. Yeah, I wish the channel was big enough to pay a blunty. Honestly. Look, you got to remember, the one thing a lot of people don't realize is, you know, I do everything. So, and this is no take at JB and anything, but JB has an editor, JB has Blunty, which is amazing. He's a huge channel. He does incredibly well. I was actually surprised how many channels smaller than me have editors. I don't have an editor. I am everything. It takes a lot of work. You know, it's surprising. Everything is you record, you edit. As I said, I don't script, as you can tell from the content. But it takes time. And I 3D print a lot. And yeah, it takes time. So I've lost my mojo a little bit, and my mojo is actually not for wanting to make content. My mojo is actually getting the editing and everything done. That's where I've fallen off. It's the recording. It's not that I don't want to make it. It's when I'm trying to make content. It's just like, this ain't working. The words aren't coming out right. And when it's like that, and it's hard for me because if I'm not because I don't script, if the words aren't coming out right, then the content isn't working. And fucking editing is just horrific. I tend to record linearly, so I record the way I intend to edit it. So generally, whenever I do a video, like a new product review, just to give you guys an idea, it's really simple. It comes in, I do the unboxing, the look on the table. Then I spend my time with it. Then I do the outdoor stuff. Then I come back. But I record it. The only videos I don't record linearly are the 3D printing ones, actually, because it makes more sense to do things in a slightly different order sometimes. But majority of the videos are done in a linear fashion. A man without a plan. I fly by the seat of my pants, and it's got us to where we are today. I'm on the brink of putting up videos on YouTube channels. Scary, not gonna lie, but it's a champ wearing all of the hats. Be couragey and mojo. Yeah, look, it'll get there. I am actually pumped. Yeah, and that's the problem. If you're building stuff, that's the thing. If you're building stuff, it's a lot of the stuff. A lot of the stuff I've been doing this year has been quite awkward and difficult. That's really what's dragged me backwards. Is if I look since the Goggles X, I don't think I've had a product in that since the Goggles X that hasn't given me problems one way or another. And I don't mean 3D printers. 3D printers have been fine, but I mean, you know, the stuff has been a bit all over the place. And I've been messing about with OpenIP. I've lost so many hours to OpenIPC as well. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Right. I got to quickly say something. I want to say a big thank you to the Super Chats. So we had the Cinetronics one. I answered, keep your head up, mate. Try to remember what you're doing at the fifth place. So thank you, Dave. What's up? Hope you're well. And thank you for that Super Chat. Once we get into the DJI launch, I will be pumping. There will be a lot to do on day one. We need to check if O3 still works the same. We need to check if the RF looks like. You will have all of the usual content from me. And we're going to rip it apart. I got to fly it first, though. But we have to rip it apart, and we have to see what they've done. And we have to get the images up on FPV Wiki, and we have to find out what's changed. And there's a lot to understand and a lot to learn in all of that. And that's what we will be doing, as always. Now, I want to say a huge thank you for spending some time with me tonight. Stay safe. I'm going to end this one there. Look after yourself. Probably be back same time, same place next. Well, no. I'll try to be on time next week and not get the bloody start time wrong. I do accept my apologies. And I will speak to you guys soon. Later. Do you know what? Why can't YouTube just have one fucking button to end a stream? Because you do it, and you hit the button, and then it comes up with a window. And it says, your stream will not stop immediately. Your stream will stop immediately, and it will be no longer active. I know! I clicked the button. Anyways. Stay safe. Later.